A very, very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 209th episode of the Together for Education webinars brought to you by Notebook. Before we start this episode today, a very big round of applause for the magnificent Chandrayaan-3 team. You all have made us really, really proud, and heartfelt congratulations from the team of Notebook to the great heroes of our nation. Coming back to this webinar series, it was back in 2020 when we here at Notebook decided to launch a platform for the educators to connect meaningfully on discussing problems they were facing with the rising need of digital education and online learning and arrive at common solutions. Little did we know that day about this platform growing so big, where principals and educators from across the length and breadth of the country has participated over so many sessions. We thank you all once again for supporting us and would look forward to your gracious presence in all our upcoming episodes. We have discussed extremely vibrant topics here, like digital learning, NEP and assessment, extracurricular topics like sports and theatre, topics like school finance and management, and even about topics like child psychology. Our today's topic is choosing your battles. What a perfect timing to discuss this. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our true victories depend only on the battles that we choose to fight in our lives. It's completely futile to break our head and destroy our peace of mind for anything inconsequential. And how do we teach our little ones this particular art? Let's hear from the experts today. Our first speaker on this topic is Mr. Burrett. Mr. Burrett retired as the Deputy Headmaster from the illustrious Doon School in Dehradun after 44 years of serving in education across various institutions. Mr. Burrett served the Doon School as Housemaster, Head of Department, Dean of Activities, Dean of Students' Welfare, Deputy Headmaster, Second Master, and Acting Headmaster with great distinction. He also carried out a visioning exercise for the Doon School in the year 2011 through an in-depth study of a number of British public schools and various schools in the US. Mr. Burrett qualified as a leadership trainer at Wellington College, UK in the year 2000. He is also an athlete, an adventurer, and a naturalist. And we here at Notebook are privileged to have Mr. Burrett as a senior advisor. So thank you so much for being here today. Very good evening, and over to you, please.
Thank you, Gangwar. I hope I'm audible.
It's a little break.
Is it okay? Am I audible?
Yes, it's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're
so, a wonderful topic, I must say, Gangwar. It has so many applications to education. And very good evening to Achin, everyone at Notebook, our esteemed panelists, and the guests who have tuned in. We've all heard the expression to lose a battle but win the war. And what this really means is that we need to allow small things to pass and take the most serious big issues later. If one looks at wars literally, there's so many examples where armies have actually withdrawn, seemingly like being defeated, only to gain a better position, a strategic position. And then using that advantage, they've actually won the war. If you look at the Vietnam War, for example, which was fought in the 60s when I was in school, I went on for 8 years. The Americans lost about 37,000 men. The Vietnamese lost about 3 million men. And the Americans, they won every single battle that they were involved in over those 8-year period. However, the war was eventually won by the Vietnamese. And this was because of the ideologies that was at the base of this. The Americans, of course, were fighting a war that they didn't believe in, and well-equipped, but very, very alien to the rainforests of the Vietnamese jungles. While the Vietnamese, who were poorly equipped and poorly fed maybe, they were fighting for their lives. So a good example of where you lose every battle, but you win the war. And the first thing that, of course, is we have to make clear is that what are the big issues that one has to win? And what are the issues that we can let go of? We have to decide the goals. What are our goals? What are our long-term goals that we have to consider? And if we want to win quickly and every time, we may eventually lose the war. And if you're willing to wait, we might eventually win. My father was a great person to taught me so much. He said that, he never got involved with what color curtains or what color the car upholstery or, what was to be made for dinner. He left that for my mother to decide. She did the selection, the colors and the carpet colors and the car colors. But there were much bigger issues on where we went to school and the budgeting of the house, where I think he had much more say, a bigger say in the matter. And I think he won those ones. What it boils down to really is not going for a win-win situation. Not going for a win-lose situation, but going sometimes even for a lose-win situation. For example, I had a boy in my house who I needed to get close to. I needed to get to know him. He was having a personal problem at home. And so he was a squash player. And I remember taking him to play squash, and he was very excited about this. And I let him win. I let him win a couple of times. And then he got excited and said, "Can we play again, sir?" And in doing so, he opened up to me, and, we got close, and, he improved in every walk of life. But it took my losing to excite him to play often. And therefore, sometimes we need to lose in order to win. You get these people who go in for a win-lose situation all the time. These are the sharks. They are the big CEOs of companies. Often it has a bearing on their health because they are overbearing. There can be bullies, and they don't command that much respect as some of the people who let small things pass. Now, even in cricket, I've been watching cricket recently, and sometimes there are times in test matches when bowlers have the upper hand and the batsmen get bogged down. And even though one wants to get out and hit a six, you need the patience to go through that period where the bowlers are dominating, only to emerge later on, a couple of hours later, when batting becomes more freer and the runs are flowing. Even in the world athletics that I'm watching these days, there is the first round, there's the semi-finals, there's the quarterfinals. Often athletes have to run about 5 or 6 races to make it to the finals. And if you're going to run every race hard out and you put up all your energy, you may not have much left for the finals. Sometimes it's okay to come 4th and 5th as long as you qualify for the next round, and then keep your best for the last. Also, when I took teams out for treks, I never was overbearing in everything. I let them and the children decide where they go, the location, how they want to travel, what tuck they would take. But important things like how they would pitch their tent and where they would pitch their tent, that was up to me. But because I had let them democratically decide on so many things and win, I could and take back. And when it came to important things, they would let me have my way. I think being too bossy and overbearing, despotic, and inflexible as a teacher may pay off in the short run. But in the long run, the lessons that the children learn are that we need to let go of the small battles to win the big wars. We need to let children feel they have control over their lives, that they know what they are doing. And when we come in, it's not for our egos, it's for their benefits, and our decisions are value-based. It's not ego-based. When I want my own way, it's value-based. Something is dangerous or not to be done. It's not a case of my ego. It's a case of what is right and what is wrong. Sometimes I feel schools make a big issue out of small things, like smoking or using abusive language or watching pornography. While these are wrong, we sometimes let go of things like stealing, cheating, and lying, which I think in the long run is far worse. People lose their jobs over lying, stealing, and cheating, not over the other thing that I mentioned. And bad language, for example, when I was a housemaster in a public school, often you'd hear the 4-letter word. And I would not make an issue out of everything. I just give them a look, make them understand that I don't like it, but not take it up serious. These are the small battles that I overlooked. But when it came to the big issues, they knew I was serious. I also like the idea of having the orange, green, and red lights with children. The red lights being those issues which are not negotiable. I got to win those. No drugs, no substance, no alcohol, except the orange is negotiable. And I think it's important that children learn to negotiate. And the greens are the ones that I don't want to win. How they do their hair, what they put on their hands, how they do their, what friends they mix with, when they study. is not for me to decide. I let them win those battles, because it's when they win battles, then they can negotiate with me for the orange battles, and they will give me the wins on the red issues, which is the war. With that, Gangwar, I hope I have set the ball rolling. I look forward to the views of our esteemed panel and Achin. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker on this topic is Mr. Achin Bhattacharyya, CEO and founder at Notebook. A chartered accountant by training, Achin was a director at Deloitte prior to starting Notebook. He has worked in India and abroad in various senior capacities in GE, PwC, KPMG, and Deloitte. Achin is a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, a fellow of the ICAI, a member of CP Australia and CPILS, and a member of CIMA UK. He is also on the board of some of the most renowned corporates. He is the recipient of the prestigious Indian Achievers Award, an avid reader and a passionate traveler. Achin has keen interest in economics, history, literature, and philosophy, and contributes significantly to the brand strategies of many corporates. Achin, a very good evening, and over to you, please.
Good evening, everyone. Gangwar, am I audible?
Absolutely.
I once again welcome all of you to today's session. A very interesting topic. We all agree that it's important to choose our battles wisely. After all, life is not measured by how many times you stood up to fight. It's not winning battles that alone makes us happy. It's equally important, as far as success is concerned, in order to be successful, that how many times we're able to resist the temptation of going behind things which are not so important, restrain ourselves, maintain our composure, and look at a better direction. Life, as we all know, is too short to spend on worrying. So it's important to fight only the most important ones and let the rest go. Things like what really matters to us, what are our most important goals, and who are the people who are most important to us. If our sole priority is achieving victory in every walk of life, there will be nothing left for anything else. So I think by this very act of choosing our battles very carefully, it's one of the major steps towards winning the big game called life. Few important things which I think are really relevant with regard to this particular topic. I think first and foremost is, of course, to evaluate the problem. Believe it or not, most of the things that disrupt us on a daily basis, we would all agree, are small, petty things with no impact in the long run. Maybe at times toxic people who try to get us down. So when faced with a problem, it's really important to ask ourselves, is this really important? Do I need to deal with it? Can my time be better spent elsewhere? If we are facing a conflict, we need to consider that time is limited. We only have 24 hours a day. And how do we want to spend our time? Now, feeling angry about someone who is not worth our time in the first place, or about petty things that honestly won't matter a few years from now, is meaningless. I think it's far more important to spend our time on seeds that will blossom and grow. The former, when we spend time on negative things, will only lead to making us feel more negative, more disheartened about ourselves. And the latter, anything positive, anything constructive, will shape our lives for the better. Second, I think, just like anything else in life, it's very important to do a cost-benefit analysis. Do the costs honestly outweigh the benefits? Is the battle worth fighting? If the costs are far too much at times it's better to let go and move on. And second, what are the odds of success? If the odds of success are very low, then it may be better to just move on as well. However, then comes a very important and ethical question. Does this mean that we should avoid all battles if there is little or no chance of success? Not at all. Sometimes it's important to send a message. Sometimes it's important to make a statement. Winning or losing doesn't matter. For example, if you are raising a voice against something like bullying or medical negligence, it's important to raise the issue and let others know about the problem. Create awareness. So the payoff, when we discuss about payoff of engaging in the battle, not necessarily has to be monetary. It can be a moral one, which is more satisfying, like protecting our rights or preventing further recurrence of the problem. Every situation is different. So it's important to weigh the costs and benefit before plunging into it. The other aspect, I think Burrett very briefly touched on it. It's very important to go for a win-win proposition and not necessarily a win-lose one. Even if we decide to pick up the battle, it's important that we work towards a win-win situation where both of us can emerge victorious. Now, sometimes it's very surprising to hear this. Why win-win? Why not win-lose? Why should I help my opponent win? But even though we look at battle as an analogy, I think it's important to look at our opponent as our friend, as our ally. The reason is simple, that if we have a mindset to squash others, we adopt a scarcity mindset where resources are scarce. Whereas, and naturally, if resources are scarce, if someone wins, the other person naturally loses. Because there's lack of opportunity for everyone. Now, this at times might seem normal, especially in a hyper-competitive world. But this only boxes us into limitation. Because naturally, if opportunities are unlimited, and opportunities actually are unlimited, it's a big world out there. We need to create opportunities. So then the mindset that we create is an abundance mindset where everyone wins. So we are not necessarily fighting our opponent. We are only trying to make things better. So in any situation where a conflict is involved, it's important to think about a scenario where everyone will be happy. Everyone goes home happy. Everyone has some takeaway. Now, what is the scenario where everyone will win and work towards that outcome? The other very important aspect is having an open discussion. And the moment we say open discussion, that necessarily involves respecting the other person's views, goals, which might be different from ours. And in order to achieve a win-win, first and foremost, hear them out. Discuss the best outcome. And the moment we try to hear them out, first and foremost, of course, seeking to understand what their views are. Important not to override their opinion just because they're different from ours. Understand what they are. And also understand why the particular person thinks that way. Various reasons might be involved. Also important to transparently share our views and let the other person share theirs, being supportive. And of course, very important, brainstorming the best solution. So what is important is what is right and not who is right. The next very important aspect is not getting angry, not losing our composure. Ensuring that when we look at a situation of conflict, ensuring that integrity is never ever compromised. Just because we are going through a phase of emotional turbulence doesn't mean that we compromise on ethics and integrity. Next, of course, very important, have an exit point. We all agree that all battles can be won if resources are unlimited. But the reality is otherwise. Resources are limited. We can't spend forever working on a problem if it's not progressing despite our best efforts. So it's important to have an exit point. Okay, that's it. It's time to cut our losses and move on. So this is the point where you exit the battle because you have incurred maximum loss. And we don't want to invest more time and energy into this. And not because we are giving up, not because we are losing hope, but because there are other important things to do, which we feel justifies our time better. And the moment we say letting go of unresolved problems, now we all agree that success comes not only from winning every battle, but learning to let go when it's time to do so. But how do you let go? First and foremost, I think very important to be honest with ourselves, acknowledge our feelings, not being stubborn, and also understand why we are feeling in a particular way and looking at it from a constructive perspective. So working on a new path forward. So I think these were a few things, few important points that I wanted to share. I thank all of you for giving me a very patient hearing. This is a very interesting and important topic. And I look forward to hear the views of the esteemed panel on this very interesting topic. We have a panel of very senior educators, and I sincerely look forward to hear their views on this. Over to you, Gauri.
Thank you so much for your wonderful deliberations, Achin. I can vouch on the fact that you're a true subject matter expert of this topic and how much you swear on it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to discuss this topic, we have a wonderful panel lined up for you today. But before we start with the panel discussion, a little bit about us here at Notebook. We at Notebook are an edtech platform that creates short videos pertaining to the school curriculum. This means that every topic from every subject of the school syllabus has been converted into a series of short videos that can be used in two different cases. One is when you as a teacher are starting out a topic in your classroom, you can play one of these videos as a method of visually introducing the topic to your students. These videos are just 6 to 10 minutes in duration and take up very little of your class time while offering the right kind of material to students to generate curiosity and excitement. The second is when the students are studying at home months later. They have access to the same videos on their personal devices, be it a laptop or a smartphone. They can watch the videos over and over again until they get a very clear understanding of the topic that you had taught. What I am going to do now is play you a mashup of notebook videos so that you know what they exactly look like.
Hello students, welcome to today's video lesson. This story is set at the time of the Second World War. One evening, while Dr. Sadao and Hannah stood outside their veranda, facing the ocean and the mists which hid the outlines of the ocean, they saw something black emerge out of the mist. It was a man who struggled to walk and soon had dropped on his hands and knees to crawl. Finally, he fell on his face and lay motionless.
The Mughal ruler Aurangzeb insulted or humiliated the Maratha chieftain Shivaji. Shivaji escaped from Agra, announced that he was an independent ruler, and then started campaigning against or opposing the Mughals. Wahida's parents were therefore very supportive. Wahida studied very hard. After a lot of effort, she became a doctor. Even after becoming a doctor, she attended sports camps and trained herself to join the armed forces.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a small part of some of our videos as you just now saw. We have today connected with over 3,500 schools and have had millions of students and teachers benefit from our videos. If you head over to our website, www.notebook.school, you would find all such videos at your disposal. If you want Notebook in your school, please do get in touch with our sales team at sales@notebook.school. With that, it is now time to introduce the wonderful panelists that we have with us today. We have with us today Vijayaraj Raman sir, Principal, Podar International School, Karnataka. Born and brought up in UT, sir holds a BA, MBA and a BA. Prior to his current assignment, Sir has been the principal of Navy Children's School for 6 long years. He has been the principal of Podar International School for the last 8 years now, a group which has 154 schools across our country. Sir, a very, very good evening and welcome to the panel. Next, we have with us Ms. Sujatha, ma'am, Senior Principal, Sun Academic Group of Schools, Tamil Nadu. Ma'am has 30 years of experience in the field of education. She has been striving to realize a vision of academic and post-scholastic success for all students. She is the School Innovation Ambassador recognized by the Ministry of Education Innovation Cell of India. She serves as a panelist for ETH Direct Indo-Swiss Joint Stakeholder Workshop on the role of children in disaster recovery in Chennai, RCDRC, organized by IIT Madras. Maintaining continuity of learning during the pandemic has been difficult. Organized by Times of India, gave a presentation on green environment at the International Conference for United Nations Sustainability Goal in New Delhi in 2018. The role of teachers for the 21st century skills in the International Conference of IAFQE in Sri Lanka recently. She believes that learning is an endless process and emphasizes learning and experimenting through various pedagogical methodologies. She actively contributes her ideas and implementation plans by conducting motivational and life skill sessions with students and teachers. Ma'am, a very, very good evening and welcome to the panel. We also have with us Ms. Manisha Gangwar, ma'am, Principal, Drishti Dr. R.C. Jain, Innovative Public School, Punjab. Ma'am has a doctorate in developmental psychology and has more than 21 years of school educational experience in various capacities. She has been a resource person for CBSE's Adolescent Education Program and Student Global Aptitude Testing Program. Besides this, she is a CBSE helpline telecounselor to handle examination anxiety since its inception. She is also appointed as a telecounselor by Ministry of Human Resource Development for its Monodarpan initiative for mental well-being and has presented papers in many national and international conferences. Ma'am, a very, very good evening and welcome to the panel. If I can kindly ask my panelists to switch on their cameras, please. Very good evening to all my panelists. If I can start with Vijayaraj, sir. Sir, choosing our battles from a child's perspective, how do we teach them the art of choosing which battles to fight and which to not? Sir, you have to unmute yourself and switch on your camera, please.
Yes,
if you're there. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for giving me this opportunity and having me on this panel.
Very good evening, sir. You can just deliberate on the topic, how your schools
When we said about this battle, first came to my mind was, no ma'am, first thing I came across was every child is a winner in the battle. It's the parents and the teachers who are making them lose.
All right. Okay. So, sir, what is the approach of the school and the teachers in developing this behavioral trait? Hello, sir, are you there? I think there are some connectivity issues. If I can move on to Sujatha, ma'am, quickly, please, if it's okay. Ma'am, a very good evening and welcome to the panel.
Very good evening to all. Thank you for this opportunity.
The reason being, every child knows what he wants to do. We have our own curriculum. They say this is not in the curriculum. So you.
Sir, I think there's a little network issues at your end. So I was trying to connect with Sujatha, ma'am, if it's okay for the time being.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'll just be.
Yeah, we will complete with Sujatha, ma'am, and come back to you, please, sir.
Yes.
Thank you for this opportunity and my pronouns to all the dignitaries here and especially to the senior. A small good step with a positive note gives a leap in achieving greater milestones. Being a part of the educational academician, I strongly believe in finding a suitable system for creating an engaging and immersive learning experience, which can help in shaping up the young minds during school years. In our daily routine, of course, the prime duty to bring smooth day-to-day proceedings of the school. Here I wish to highlight on how the battle is beaten up every day and what is given priority. Ensuring the safety of the students and the stakeholders, guaranteeing emotional and mental well-being of the students apart from regular activities pertaining to the academics and the positive school culture. So, because the school is a place where we focus on individual student academic progress development and growth, disciplined behavior, we have the divergent group of people who are coming from different social setups. So bringing harmonious relationship among the students, parents, teachers, amidst the different ways of lifestyle thinking, feeling, and expectation, benchmarking should be converged. This is the biggest challenge that I feel it as a pattern. As a leader of an institution, if we apply that leadership qualities, definitely we can work on that. So I want to highlight upon only 3 things that people management skill. It is basically on the administrative in nature. We should trust people and we should have patience and we should take accountability for what we do to sustain and make the progress process in a flow to flow down. So trusting people, that is, with a collaborative approach, deliberating and sharing responsibility, present person commitment to the team. When we trust people, definitely we assign the task by giving proper outlining of expected outcome and assuring the assistants whenever they need help and clearing their doubts on that thing. As well, when we have the accountability, definitely if the things go wrong, we take up a little credit when things are going right approach. So creating climatic, the hospital in education system is, so teachers should be supportive and responsive force because there is a child-centered education and learning is prioritized in the schools and facilitators are the responsible people over there. Respect for every member of the school community is very much appreciable. Solution-oriented, non-blame professional environment that should be developed in the school culture. Cultivating leadership in others, promoting culture to the students and empowering the students by delegating certain important roles and responsibilities and cultivating leadership with the students to make them as leaders in taking part in the school matters. So student behavior, student contact, and student performance are the transformational changes to be brought in and achieved. Your dreams, our mission, this is our mission statement, which gives us all strength and might to march ahead. We need to see the other side of the coin as well. Because, when the scenario is very smooth, we can follow this. If not, if there is some interruptions in the day-to-day routines, yes, every day, every hour, every minute, the add-on like administrative interruptions, stakeholders interventions, unexpected program or incidents that pitched in. So never give up once you take up. This is the key mantra that holds us to keep going in the journey. Now I come to the role of teachers in the school in building an outcome-oriented approach. This is a very broad spectrum of question. When it comes to the approach of in different angles, I'm narrowing down this to this. Because in the present day scenario, children are backed with heavy loads of activities after school hours, especially, in the social, it may be the other school activities or in the social media, there are a lot of distractions. Either it can be considered as opportunities or as threats. It's a high time for the school teachers to channelize them in the right direction. So imparting knowledge, infusing skills, integrating art, incorporating research projects, immersing blissful physical activities, and various sessions throughout the school days for the expected learning of. Once we impart the knowledge and we assess the outcome. So lot of class assignments, home assignments, formal and informal assessments, inter and intra competitions, talent shows, etc., etc., etc. So task, outcome, analysis, and alternatives. Again, like a PDCA cycle, it is going back to the task again. So this is a cycle, it is a never-ending cycle, and it is not new to the student as well as the teachers. Outcome-based approach is very good in teaching, but when it comes to the learner part, definitely it's a very big battle for a teacher and the student. Can we can see the common challenges to be battled by the teachers at school? It's a very simple. If the teacher knows the do's and don'ts in the normal nomenclature. Teachers as a role model, they have to experiment in a comfortable way by applying the do's rule. Collective collaborative approach using variety of instructional strategies empower the students with set roles. So when they have the collaborative approach, definitely classroom management strategy will improve, and the instructional strategies definitely raise the bar of the students, and it caters to the need of the unique individuals. Empower the students with the set roles. Definitely the teacher become the mentor to make the student to follow the instructions and behave in a desired pattern. If the question of why do we do is answered by analyzing how do we do to get what we do, what there lies the success of the teacher. It's mandatory to see the exceptional cases we talk and incorporate more of inclusiveness in our school. Short-term attention span, less listening skill, frequent distraction, constant deviation from set rules, inappropriate expressions because of mood swings. Challenges are never-ending hurdles for a trained teacher. It is an opportunity to bring transformation. Here we can apply the do's and don'ts rule. Do's, especially for the distraction students, use a non-verbal cues. For example, you can smile at a child and you can acknowledge that the small initiation taken by the child is appreciated by you. If you say having eye contact with a child who is getting distracted, passing a message that I am monitoring you, and a body gesture through that you can inculcate a better attitude of the students in the society. So set long-term and short-term goals pertaining to the student capability. Be consistent with rules, expectations, and consequences, what we promise to them. And there are some don'ts for these special children as well. Do not judge the student on their behavior in a short term. Teaching is a noble profession. We have chosen this passion and commitment. So it's our duty to impart the knowledge and raise the bars of future generation with integrity and ethical starter. In such cases, there is no such sort of thinking. Our choice is the battle. Because we have chosen this profession with a lot of commitment, and definitely we have the courage to battle whichever the challenges comes, and we will wage enough that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for deliberations. If I can come to Dr. Manisha, ma'am, next. Ma'am, a very good evening and welcome to the panel. My question to you would be, how do schools approach this particular approach to life, and what are the things you are implementing in your classrooms or teachers' role in this particular topic?
So good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving this forum as an opportunity to share what we are practicing in the school here at Drishti. But before that, I would like to congratulate Mr. Achin and Mr. Burrett, because they both have set the ball rolling on this very, very relevant topic, that is choosing your battle. So when Mr. Burrett was saying that to reach the goal, we need to let go our little things, small things. And Mr. Achin also said that we need to have an evaluation of the problem. But the big question is that when I'm facing with challenges, when I'm too angry, when I'm too frustrated, or when I'm too happy, does my logical brain actually work? What do I do with my emotions at that time? So this entire battle I consider is the battle of emotions. So see, emotional management and emotional training, working on the EQ is very, very important at the school level. Because the children who come to us, they are 3-year-old. And we know that like NEP has divided the entire the school into 5+3+3+4 curriculum. So this foundational years, that is around 3 to 6 years, what we do is we have sensory walls. Now, what this sensory wall is, first thing is we have to acknowledge and be aware of the emotion that I'm experiencing. So how will you teach a child that you're angry at this moment? You know, so we need to teach the child that this is the emotion that you are experiencing. So during the foundational years, the training is basically acknowledging of the emotion. then what do I do about it? So like in a school, we have sensory walls. The child will touch a certain cloth which is very fluffy, very soft to touch. That means the child is feeling happy and joyful. But when the touch is rough, the child would not like to touch it again. That means when I'm angry, this is how I feel and this is how others feel. So, a repeated training through these sensory walls and sensory pathways is repeatedly given. Then these little children also have to be taught breathe in and breathe out. They might not understand it at this level. However, it is the training at this level only that if they'll keep doing, we'll keep repeating breathe in and breathe out, then only they'll be able to use it later in life. Now, suddenly, if I get angry at this moment, and if I'm not trained in this process of breathing in and breathing out, how will I do it? So it becomes all the more important that during the foundational years itself, the children are taught how to breathe in and breathe out so that they give a space to their negative emotions. Then comes the preparatory stage, that is the children who are from class 3rd to class 5th. So in our school, we have a beautiful tree which is called the happiness tree. And when you reach, it is in the midst of the school, in the midst of the garden. When you reach the tree, there is happiness. The tree exudes happiness. So you can paste your emotions on that tree. The tree, actually, if you visit our school, sometimes the tree is a big attraction. So, that place will bring happiness. So, happiness and joy is something that we have to teach our children. At the same time, we have yoga classes. We have our physical education classes. So we have a yoga class. So again, what is yoga? Yoga is not a simple twisting of your body. It is a complete Ashtang Yoga, that is Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. And in our school, yoga is taught in its full totality. So our entire academic calendar is also divided into niyams. So there are 5 niyams as per our scriptures. So every month has a certain niyam to be followed. And in yoga, when we do asanas, it is Sukham Sthiram Asanam. If I'm sitting on this chair and I'm able to sit still for 15 minutes, that means I've mastered this asana. But if I'm constantly moving, that means I'm not sthir. And this sthirtha is directly connected to the emotions. So that is why if asanas are taught to the children at this level, it is directly going to help them manage their emotions also, because that is going to bring stillness in them. Then we also have a beautiful thing which is called De Bono's 6 thinking hats. I think Mr. Achin was also talking about the logical thinking, the dialogue part. No, so this 6 thinking hats, actually, our children are taught right from the primary years, the preparatory stage, how to use these 6 thinking hats. So anybody who has not heard of it, I would like you to reach and read online, or maybe grab a book which is written by De Bono on 6 thinking hats only. So if the children master the 6 thinking hats, believe me, by the time they reach adolescent age, they will be able to know the art of discussion, the art of brainstorming, the art of conducting a dialogue without actually entering into a personal fight. So this training has to start from the beginning. And when you reach your middle school and your high school and your senior secondary, they are very, very logical children. And, I'll just share with you, amygdala is one part of a brain, which is the emotional part of a brain. And it acts just like a pitcher plant. if there's too much of joy, too much of happiness, too much of anger, too much of sadness, just like the pitcher plant, the lid will close and no logical thinking will happen. तभी जब हम गुस्से में होते हैं, when we are angry, that time we are not able to think logically. So all the training that has happened, take deep breath, drink water, all that kind of logical reasoning will be applicable during the adolescent age. And one more thing is, there are certain reflection sheets that we follow in our school. So automatically, when we are in the school scenario, there bound to be bound to be issues which have to be resolved. There bound to be some kind of fights happening within the children. So there are certain reflection sheets. So these children are grown up. They can introspect. They can reflect upon their own behavior. So let us start making use of these particular tools of reflection sheets. So these are very standardized reflection sheets. If anybody wants, we can always share. Our counselor makes use of it. And then it is like engaging the children in teamwork. Besides all the teamwork that Sujatha ma'am has talked about, the role of teachers that Sujatha ma'am has very rightly shared with all of us, we have beautiful programs, the whole class program. For example, I just share one with you because we all are very, very excited about this particular program that's running in Drishti. So there is a particular class which puts up a eating stall every Saturday. The entire class, right from contributing the money, buying of the ingredients, preparing the entire whatever they've planned to prepare, advertising for it, and then whatever profit they are earning, how are they going to make use of that profit? Now, what is happening in the process is the entire class has to work as a group. What is the indirect benefit? We are teaching decision making. We are teaching them critical thinking. We are teaching them problem solving. We are teaching them empathy. We are teaching them cooperation. So there are a lot of skills which you actually don't have to go in the class and teach them formally. There are many activities that can happen within the school and within the classroom through which we can teach all these life skills. Anything else that you would like to ask?
Ma'am, thank you so much for your deliberations. I think we are fine. And we would move on to Vijayaraj, sir. He was not able to deliberate because of some connectivity issues. Sir, if you can have your back, please.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. Yeah. First, I was saying thanks for all the panelists for having given a very great insight into it. But my way of thinking was, we have lost the battle. We've lost the war called as happiness. And we're trying to battle it out through various means to try to get it back. And our children are telling us many things that they want in life. But unfortunately, we don't have an answer for all those things. Let me just deliberate a little further. When we are trying to talk to them about pollution, population explosion, climate change, global warming, and you're talking about all the poverties in the world, the children ask us, who's responsible? Do we have an answer for it? So they said, if you have not corrected the mistakes you've done, why are we being preached about these things? So the major difference that we are trying to do in our schools is, we are not teaching anything. We are learning from our children. We only told the children, what is that issue that you face? They say, so we want love from our parents, which they're not getting. We want freedom from our parents. We want them to hear us, what we speak. But the parents, the teachers, and the society at large is trying to ask me to run a race. So we only try to tell, two basic things what we always try to tell our teachers as well as the students as well as the parents around. We in school teach three things. First, the three L's, then the three C's. First L, learn to live. If you have learned to live, which means all the habits that we have taught in school should come through for life so that they have no problems when they grow older. The second thing is learn to learn. Let the child choose the subject rather than you and me trying to pressurizing them on other areas. Third one is learn to lead. The life which I led should be the outcome of the studies which I got from my school days. The three C's: challenge the mighty, compete with the equals, have compassion towards the downtrodden. With these norms, we try to tell them like every day there is an issue that we want to discuss. But many a times, like how in our government scenario, whatever the central government tells, the state government has to listen. Similarly, we are under the impression that I teach, you listen. When they ask for a reason, we don't have a reason for it. Why is Ganga polluted? I have no reason. Why are the glaciers melting? I only know because of the global warming. Who caused it? You and me. Then if you have no solution, how do you expect the child to have a solution? The future generations has got better ideas. The example is yesterday, Chandrayaan. We were in the space world for last 50, 60 years. But it's the new generation which could get the rover landing on that. So we should first give the benefit of doubt to our children. If only I have my ears to the ground and listen to the children, if their voice are heard, they come up with brilliant ideas, the future belongs to them. So we have lost the battle. We are trying to tell them that as if everything is perfect with us. If everything was perfect, you don't require a preaching. So we want to ensure that the war of happiness is the ultimate aim. Towards achieving that happiness, I am ready to lose. As the first panelist spoke, I am ready to lose any number of battles if I can bring happiness to the children, from there towards the family, then to the society as large. As educators, as leaders, can we give that liberty to our teachers and our students rather than focusing only on the academic skills? So we always told, learn for life, not for an examination. We write 48 examination before we go to 12th. 47, I got 100 on 100. 48th exam, I got 75. Will they calculate the average? Or will they say, I'm just a first class pass? If we find an answer to this and provide happiness to the children, then we are fighting our own battle, allowing the child to fight their own battle. For every question they ask, if I have a genuine answer, the child will listen to a class. There will not be any disturbances. We don't have to do anything more. So the child's questions, we have no answers. So with that, I was telling that let the child put up his questions. Let's find genuine answers. And I will put it like this. If your mind plans and heart executes, there's always harmony. If your heart plans and mind executes, there's always confusion. We will be having more webinars and seminars. Problem will never be solved. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. It has been an absolute pleasure to host my wonderful panelists today. Sujatha ma'am, Manisha ma'am, and Vijayaraj Raman sir. Thank you so much for being here today with us. Calling back Achin for the vote of thanks, please. Achin, over to you.
Thank you, Gangwar. I think really wonderful session. I must appreciate the views of all the panelists. Very seamless session. Before placing my vote of thanks, just a few small scenarios, and this is an open question for all of us to decide and introspect who won. So I was reading about a very short, actually a court case, a legal dispute. A very famous artist who was well known for his work. He used to make very beautiful sketches, and without his permission, one of his paintings was used by a charity organization to be printed on t-shirts. The charity used to work for specially able children. They used his work of art without his permission. And after selling those t-shirts, the money that they raised, proceeds went to charity, purely for a good cause. He took them head on. Of course, after a prolonged legal battle, the charity lost the case. They had absolutely no authorization to use his work of art. But when the case received publicity, the public was so annoyed at the arrogance of the artist that they completely boycotted him. They stopped buying his work of art. So who won? He might have won the battle, but lost the war. A very similar example. At times we see lengthy court cases, disputes over custody during divorce. And after a long drawn legal battle involving at times egos of both the parents, various other reasons, etc., ultimately custody being allotted to one of the parents. In the process, the child suffers so much, and this very recently got to know a real incident. The child suffered so much that went into a state of psychological shock, taking counseling sessions after those prolonged legal battle sessions, which went on for more than a couple of years. Or another very important, very well publicized, again, legal dispute, the McDonald's case, Mac label case, as we say. One of the most lengthy court cases in the history, wherein two environmental activists, David and Helen, they took McDonald's head on. They started printing leaflets and distributing about the harmful effects as to why Mac burgers, etc., are not good for health. McDonald's, instead of ignoring them or trying to address the issue, took them head on, spent millions of dollars. In the process, this David versus Goliath story received so much of publicity, and I'm talking of decades back, that ultimately when McDonald's won the case, they received a paltry settlement of only $40,000 after spending millions in court cases. And of course, losing the perception battle. So a number of cases like that, wherein we really need to self-introspect and ask ourselves that, is it not more important to look at the bigger picture? Is it not important to sometimes just let go, be in peace, and let the other person be in peace as well? So I think a very, very interesting discussion. Burrett sir, thank you so much for giving us a great start. Raman sir, thank you. I think really some wonderful thoughts from your side. What you mentioned about happiness, we couldn't agree more on that. Initially some tech glitches, but undoubtedly priceless words of wisdom. Sujatha ma'am, thank you so much. I think very important point you put across with regard to trust and expected outcome. And of course, things like being supportive, responsive, child-centric education, we completely agree with your points. Dr. Manisha ma'am, I think two very important points we made. And first of all, before coming to deliberation, really happy to know about the programs in your school. Wonderful, ma'am. Very inspiring, undoubtedly. And also the other very important point that you made, the importance of being calm, which we all agree. And in raised state of mind, when we pass through an emotional turbulence or we are angry, very seldom we are able to make the right choices. So I think overall, great session. I thank all of you for being a part of this. And I'm sure members of our esteemed audience have some wonderful takeaways from today's session. And all credit to our esteemed panelists for this. Thank you. Thank you. Take care and goodbye.
Thank you and goodbye.